All right. Hey, everybody. This is Darren Spader again, Bayer News Group, Mercury News, East Bay Times. Getting ready for our Week 7 picks here with Evan Wiebeck and Mike Lefkow. Evan, your lead is still pretty significant here. You added a game on Mike. You're up 7 games on our 2-time defending champion, and you and I are still separated by 5 games. You're still picking them right. Good job.
I'd say beginner's luck, but I don't know if I want to give away the credit that easily.
No, you're doing your homework. You're studying. You're breaking it down.
Maybe not this week. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe not this week. There will be opportunities, it looks like, to either get back in the race or to completely fall off the map. So we'll see what happens. But as always, before we get to our picks, let's do a little roundtable. What were your guys' takeaways from the weekend? I know the big injury was our player of the year from last year, Mahasan over at Sarah, coming down with what appears to be a serious knee injury. Looks like an ACL. Evan, what were your thoughts when you heard that the missile would be out for the rest of the year and that will end his high school career?
Yeah, I mean, Darren, I said it to you earlier. I said, this sucks. I mean, he's one of the most fun kids to watch. Just the style of play that he has, the way that he's explosive in the run and the pass game out of the backfield. And he and Dom Lampkin were just now getting to enjoy that childhood connection that they've been building since they were growing up together down the block from each other. And, we saw through the first 4 or 5 games what that was capable of. And now going into this next week, I mean, I was filling out my top 25 bracket and, I had Sarah in the number 1 spot, but going forward without Mahasan, going to have serious reservations. They're going to have to see, how they're going to fill in for him. Of course, this is a team that has a lot of depth too.
They have a lot of depth, but I mean, he's the one guy that, he was the leader. I mean, this was his senior year, and for it to, if it does indeed end in the 5th game, with so many more big games to go, the St. Francis game down the road, still have to play Valley Christian, the CCS playoffs, and possibly NorCal and state games. It's just a shame to see something like that happen, and it's not the first time we've seen it this season. I mean, De La Salle losing one of its premier tight ends in Brody Tagaloa, who also suffered an ACL injury. His was much earlier in the season. And I know it was a huge blow for obviously Brody, but for De La Salle, I mean, to see a guy who missed a lot last spring with an elbow injury, and then he comes back, works his way back, and then to go down with an ACL, it's just unfortunate. Mike, I mean, what's your take on these 2 premier teams losing 2 guys that we wrote a lot about going into the season?
The biggest thing I worry about I worry about the recruiting, because I think that both of these kids were 3-star recruits. They were both going to get pretty good offers. And over the years, I've seen the colleges do some mean things when a kid gets injured. And you just kind of wonder, I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate they're going to miss their senior year and it's going to hurt their teams. But at the same time, their future is going to college and playing in college. And you just wonder how that's going to impact them. I mean, like I say, I've seen some things I don't even want to remember.
Talking to Brody after one of the games recently, he said he seemed pretty confident that all his college offers were still going to be there for him. But he did say he wanted to get a jump on committing pretty soon.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I saw what happened to remember the kid from Las Lomas a couple of years ago who tore something, a knee or an ACL or something, and a couple schools pulled offers. He wound up going to San Jose State, and that's fine. But I mean, these schools don't hesitate to pull them. And in a year like this, it could be even worse because a lot of these schools have kids coming back because of the pandemic.
Right.
So, that's what I worry about for these kids.
I mean, I know it was in the aftermath of the game and the emotion of, discussing Mahasan, but Patrick Walsh seemed pretty confident that Mahasan would have an exceptional college career, and that whoever gets him is going to be pretty lucky to have him on the roster. So we'll see what happens going forward. But looking ahead to this week, I mean, De La Salle coming off a loss to this St. Francis Academy of Baltimore. I was on the St. Francis sideline. Man, they were talented. I mean, they were extremely talented across the board. We had heard about it going in, thought that De La Salle playing at home and playing at 10 o'clock East Coast time, given that the kickoff time was 7 o'clock here on the West Coast, that might play a factor, but it didn't. The St. Francis team built a 42-14 lead and ended up winning. As I wrote in my game story in the Mercury News and East Bay Times, you got to give De La Salle some credit, because a lot of teams, when it got to 42-14 early in the third quarter, would have wilted and would have been a running clock game in the fourth quarter. De La Salle was able to manage 2 touchdowns and keep St. Francis off the scoreboard the rest of the way. So shout out to De La Salle for doing that, and maybe that will bode well going into their game Friday night, which will be the big game in the Sacramento area, as De La Salle goes to Folsom Friday night. Folsom is 6-0, playing on its blue turf. We all know that they're putting up crazy numbers across the board. They want this win badly. They're 0-4 against De La Salle during Folsom's decade of dominance. Lefty, I mean, is this a game that Folsom has to win? It's now or never. I mean, if they don't beat De La Salle now with a 6-0 team, when are they going to beat them?
I don't think it's now or never. I mean, who knows what the future will hold, but this is a year where they have an opportunity to get them at home. They've got a really good team. I don't know, is De La Salle a little bit down this year? Well, maybe not when they're playing a team like St. Francis of Baltimore, but you have to ask if they would normally lose to a team like St. Francis of Mountain View. So, I mean, yeah, this is for Folsom, like I say, not now or never, but it's a good opportunity.
What do you think, Evan?
Yeah, I mean, I think I underestimated certainly St. Francis of Baltimore, and you look, and they're playing a national schedule against some of these top teams from around the country, and it made me wonder: is De La Salle still a national program? I mean, they have such strong regional dominance, but they've struggled against Southern California teams, and even this week we're looking at Folsom in question of them possibly losing to another NorCal opponent for the second time this season.
Right.
Well, if I could answer your question, to me, and having watched De La Salle a long time, I don't think De La Salle has ever really changed its program. I think other programs may have caught them and surpassed them.
Well, totally agree with you on that.
And De La Salle has to decide, do they want to become a national program? Do they want to become a modern day, a St. John Bosco, St. Francis of Baltimore? I mean, it all started at De La Salle. I mean, I think De La Salle planted the seed, but they always had a very structured way of doing things.
Right, and we're talking just the East Bay, where De La Salle would get its players, and we're talking, like Mater Dei and Bosco. They're getting players. They have players from up here go to Mater Dei. I mean, or players from Stockton going down there. I mean. So those are national programs getting players from all over the state and probably even out of state.
Well, look at Tanner South
and De La Salle, like you said, maybe they haven't done anything. This might not be their best team, obviously, but they're still a very, very good high school team. And in another era, would have competed at the highest level. And now we've just seen these rosters on some of these high school teams where, our colleague Mitch Stevens over at Max Preps pointed out how many guys on those rosters at Mater Dei and Bosco in the game that they played last weekend, how many were going on to college. I mean, it was insane. It was like 60 or something like that combined. I mean, who has that? It's like, that's like elite club level basketball. I mean, we're like, that's what it's become. And, does De La Salle want to get in the mud and do that? Or does another team up here want to get in the mud and do that? I don't know. I mean, those teams are playing at a very high level and giving kids opportunities that they might not get at other places. But
I think that there's
is it the direction that people want to see high school football go? I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, from what I've seen over the years, Bob Ladouceur set certain standards at De La Salle, and when he set those standards, he was not going to change those standards. And I mean, I think, like I say, some of these other schools have changed their standards. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if you approve of what teams like Mater Dei and St. John Bosco do, and St. Francis of Baltimore and all these other schools. But I mean, I'm sure there are schools out here that would, in the East Bay or in the South Bay, that wouldn't mind doing it. Are they going to be able to get permission from their administrations?
Well, I mean, even these schools, even Mater Dei had to make that choice. I mean, Eric Sonheimer over at the LA Times over the weekend pointed out in one of his stories that Mater Dei went 17 years without finishing #1 in Southern California. They went from like 2000 to 2017 without being the top dog there, and they made a change. I mean, they had to, because other teams were doing it. And now they become a superpower. And I had a chat with Mark Tennis at from Cal High Sports over at the Sarah game on Saturday, and he says it's not just Mater Dei and Bosco down there anymore. There are other teams. Servite has a great team this year. Centennial Corona, which is trying to get back in the game after, they were in the state championship game in 2015 against De La Salle and lost. They have not been back. They're trying to raise their level to get to that, elite spots. So it's interesting. Something that, maybe we'll address going forward when we have time. Do we have time, Evan?
We have time and manpower.
Yeah, time and manpower. But
one
there's
more
so
thing.
many. Go ahead, Lefty.
I mean, I think there are schools up here that would like to do it, and De La Salle might be one of them. But
Sarah might be one of them. I don't know. I mean,
what's that?
Sarah might be one of them. I mean,
Sarah
I
might
looked at
be
their
one of them.
offensive line,
What about Bellarmine and this
Yeah.
new young coach? I mean, maybe they're a school that would like to do it. I think there are schools out there that would like to do it.
But they have to have talent across the board, 1 through 22. I mean, I looked at Sarah and their offensive line. I'm looking at guys who are like 6'6", 6'7", 300 plus pounds, who can run and who could get out on screen passes and annihilate DBs who are weighing like 175. I mean, it was very impressive, and that's what we're seeing at the elite level of high school football.
Right, but no, I think there are programs up here that would like to do that, and I wouldn't be surprised in the next 5 years if you see 1 or 2 schools do it. And I could probably think of 10 candidates right off the top of my head.
Right. Well, we're seeing Folsom try to do it, and a big step for them will be beating De La Salle on Friday night, because that would pretty much punch their ticket to play Mater Dei or Bosco in that Open Division State Championship game.
Who's to say Pittsburgh wouldn't try to do it?
Good point. That was good. But do we want to get to our picks, or do we want to talk any more about hot button issues?
I think it's time for the picks.
I would say let's pick them.
Let's get going. Game 1, Thursday night, Silver Creek at Live Oak. Silver Creek coming off a big win over Oak Grove. Live Oak coming off a 1-point loss to Leland. Cal Preps picking Live Oak big, 35-13. Evan, who you got?
Give me the upset. I'm taking Silver Creek.
Taking Silver Creek. All right. Lefty?
No, I'm going with Live Oak. I think it's a pretty good program.
I'm going Live Oak 2. Game 2 on the list. Freedom 1-4. This will be their Bay Valley Athletic League opener. They're on the road to play Antioch Friday night. Antioch at 2-3. Cal Preps also picking Antioch to win fairly comfortably. I'm going Antioch. Evan, who are you going with?
Yeah, Antioch I think is a strong 2-3, but I'm throwing Dustin in the win here. I'm going Freedom.
You're going Freedom. All right. Lefty.
No, I think Antioch is going to win this game.
All right. You're kind of opening the door for us, Evan. You're opening the door a little bit. Game 3. This would be a great game. Akalani's 4-1 on the road against Las Lomas 3-2. This is the DAL Foothill Division opener for both teams. Luke Souza from Akalani's, I was looking at his numbers, 1,452 yards and 19 touchdowns. That's not bad. Not bad at all. Akalani's won 35-28 in the spring. Cal Preps is predicting Las Lomas to win by 4. I got Las Lomas. Lefty, who you got?
Well, this is a coin flip, but I took Las Lomas.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams have impressed so much this season. And like Lefty said, it's a coin flip, and they landed on the other side for me. So I'm going Acalanes.
Acalanes. All right. Another tough one here. We got Benicia at 3-2 with their 2 losses were both, to me, bad losses. I mean, Clayton Valley and Windsor, both really good teams, but you would think that Benicia would have been a little more competitive in those games. But anyhow, they're 3-2. This is their DAL Foothill opener. They're on the road against Campo Lindo. Campo's 3-2, playing a lot better since Dashiell Weaver. Is that how you pronounce his name? Dashiell? Anyhow, he's taken over at quarterback. They've played a little better in the last couple of games, beating San Leandro and Hayward. I got Campo in this game. Evan, you going with me? Are you with me or are you against me?
No, I like Benicia's big-time talent.
You're against me. You're going Benicia?
Going Benicia.
Lefty.
I'm going to go with Campo Lindo. Those 2 losses at Campo that Benicia has had kind of bother me.
So you and I are going Campo. Game 5.
What's your dog's name?
What's that?
What's your dog's name?
Blackie.
Blackie.
Can you see him down there? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's sitting on the couch here.
There's Blackie behind there. Who's Blackie liking our game 5? Clayton Valley Charter at 4-1. California 5-0. Cal won 17-14 in 2019. Clayton won 20-16 in the spring. Cal Preps is picking Clayton 31-28. Evan, who you got?
I'm going Clayton Valley.
On the road to hand the Grizzlies their first loss. Lefty, you agree with Evan?
Yeah, we finally agree. I'm going to go with Clayton Valley in this one.
And I agree too. I'm taking Clayton Valley. I think Tim Murphy gets it done. And I think Clayton will go to 5-1. Game 6 on our list, Dougherty Valley against Foothill. Foothill coming off a really bad loss to San Ramon Valley. Dougherty Valley coming in at 5-0. I believe they had a bye last week. I'm taking Foothill. Lefty, you got Foothill or you got Dougherty?
No, I think Foothill comes back and wins this game.
Yeah, I think San Ramon Valley had a little something to prove last week. I think that was a bit of an aberration. Going Foothill.
You think Nick Walsh and Foothill get it back together? Game 7 on the list at Burrell Field in San Leandro. We've got San Leandro playing James Logan. James Logan coming off 41-12 win over Freedom, a team that San Leandro beat 55-44 earlier in the season. I got San Leandro in this one. Evan, who you got?
Yeah, San Leandro right here.
Lefty?
Yeah, I'm going to take San Leandro. I think James Logan is going through a little bit of a tough year despite last week.
All right. Game 8 on the list, De Anza 1-3. Although their losses were to McClymonds, Cardinal Newman, and Heritage, and all competitive. And they're on the road to play El Cerrito at 3-2. Evan, you saw El Cerrito in its last game, I think. They lost, right, to Monte Vista?
We're shut out in Monte Vista for the second time this season.
Okay.
Both their losses, shut out losses.
Even though they're struggling to score points a little, I take them to beat De Anza. I'm taking El Cerrito.
Yeah, I mean, that defense is seriously intimidating. It's they're really strong defensively, and they can string some stuff together offensively if they get it going. And I thought these two teams were pretty evenly matched going into the season. I was really looking forward to this one, but I think that they've separated themselves a little bit here.
There's a gap.
Yeah, I'm going El Cerrito.
Lefty?
Yeah, I'm gonna pick El Cerrito too. I mean, El Cerrito beat them like 30-0 last year.
The Cal Preps computer picked El Cerrito 26-7.
Yeah,
so we're all going El Cerrito. Game 9 on the list. This was a little kind of a tough one. Cupertino at home playing Fremont of Sunnyvale. Cupertino is 3-11 against Fremont since 2004, but they've won 2 out of the past 3. I'm taking Cupertino in this game, but it was not an easy call.
Yeah, I think Cupertino continues its recent success.
Yeah, I like Cupertino in this one.
Okay. Game 10 on the list. Lincoln of San Jose, which is playing better under longtime coach Kevin Collins. They are at home to play Piedmont Hills. Lincoln's losses were to Lee and Santa Teresa. Piedmont Hills lost to Branham and Overfelt, which Lincoln just beat Overfelt. So I'm taking Lincoln in this game.
I was surprised to see that Lincoln Overfeld final. I think that was pretty impressive. So I'm going Lincoln too.
I'm going to go with Piedmont Hills. They, I think they beat Santa Teresa last week in overtime. Both teams ran one play. That was it.
I think Kevin Collins is a terrific coach at Lincoln. Not that Matt Keesley is not, but Kevin usually gets his team playing better as the season moves along, and I think that's proving out this fall because Lincoln is playing a lot better than it did when I think it got blown out against Lee in its season opener. So,
well, now they have something to play for. They can go to the playoffs for a change.
They can go to the playoffs. Correct. Game 11, Pioneer at Lee. Speaking of Lee, Lee's 5-0, Pioneers 3-2. Pioneers' losses were to Palo Alto and Leland. I got Lee to go to 6-0 and extend its winning streak to 11 games. Evan, you with me?
Yeah, this is a tough one, Darren, but I'm going with you on this one.
Lee. All right. Lefty?
Yeah, no, I like Lee.
Not sure why I put this one on the list. I mean, maybe it's my respect for Pete Labarato over at the King's Academy, but they've struggled a little bit this year. They're 2-3. They're going to go up against Burlingame. Burlingame's 5-0. CalPrep's computer does not think this one's going to be close, picking Burlingame 35-0. I might not be that bad, but I think Burlingame will win to go to 6-0. Lefty, you agree?
Yeah, but I'm going to disagree with the computer and think this game's going to be a little bit closer than it expects.
So the respect for Pete Labarato that he will get.
Yes, well, no, I think the Burlingame's got a real good coach too. I think they're both good. But I think that King's Academy is eventually going to get its act together, and this might be a closer game than people think.
Evan, what do you think?
Yeah, here's my room temperature take. I think the King's Academy will get on the board. I don't think they'll win, though.
You don't think they'll win? They will score. Speaking of scoring, Bellarmine scored a touchdown last week in the fourth quarter to break its 5-year scoring drought against Sarah. Still lost 41-7, but they got on the board. They are 4-1, and they will be playing in the night game at Mitty. It's Mitty's one night game on its home field where they bring in the portable lights. It's a big deal for the Mitty community. But I think Bellarmine coming off the loss is going to spoil the party, and I'm thinking Bellarmine's going to beat Mitty. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
Darren?
I think Bellarmine wins and wins comfortably.
I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good about my score prediction last week from Bellarmine Sarah. I said 49-21 Sarah.
Well, you did. You were in the neighborhood. And Sarah took offense. If there were a Google exec on the field after the game, he might not have made it off the field because one of the coaches was calling out the computer for picking the score to be a 1-point game. I believe that the score was supposed to be, I think, 21-20 or 22-21. And this one assistant for Sarah kept mentioning that score after the game, that the computer was not right, obviously.
Well, Darren, they're taking over, so watch out. I think this one's going to be an even wider final than that Bellarmine Sarah game, but in favor of Bellarmine.
In favor of Bellarmine. All right. You think they're going to take care of business against Mitty. This next game is really interesting. Valley Christian at 4-1 on the road against St. Francis at 4-0. Valley has won 4 in a row against the Lancers, including an overtime game at St. Francis in the spring. Valley is 11-10 against St. Francis since 2004. Most of the games have been nail biters. I'm taking St. Francis, but I almost took Valley in the upset. But I went St. Francis. Evan, what do you think?
I went through the exact same thought process. It's tough to pick against Juran Dickey and Jackson Berman. I mean, we saw what they did with that late touchdown connection a week or two ago, right?
What they did last year against them.
Yeah, exactly. But I think logic prevails. St. Francis is on a serious high note this year, and they've proven what they can do. And I'll go with the Lancers.
Lefty,
I'm a big believer in St. Francis. I think they've got it together this year. I think Sarah is another thing, but I think St. Francis wins this game, and it may not be as close as everybody thinks.
All right. Well, we're all going St. Francis. The computer, what is the computer doesn't think it's going to be close. I don't agree with the computer here. 41-21 St. Francis.
I could see that. I
You
think,
think so?
I think St. Francis, when it's had its problems, they create their own problems. They don't get as fired up as they should. I think this is a really good St. Francis team, and if they decide to go out and play their best, they could smoke Valley Christian.
All right. Well, we'll be watching. Game 15 on the list. De La Salle, 3-2. Losses to two St. Francis's, one with an I, one with an E, one from Mountain View, the other one from Baltimore. They will be on the road to play 6-0 Folsom. Tyler Tremaine for Folsom, 5'11", 170-pound quarterback, has 31 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions. Rico Flores, 25 receptions for 425 yards and 11 TDs. He's a junior. De La Salle, I think De La Salle will try to make this a very physical game, physical in the trenches. They will try to use their speed, which they did 2 years ago when they went there and won, although they had Shamar Garrett and Dorian Hale at that time. Now they got Charles Greer and Luke Durman. I'm going to let you guys pick first. Evan, who you got?
Yeah, Darren, I've written down my pick and I've sent you my pick. You know who I'm picking. I'm having second thoughts right here on air. I've had this game circled on their schedule the entire season. I've also said recently I'm not picking against the Spartans again this year. They bit me last week. I don't know what to do. I think I'm going to break on De La Salle's side. That's who I had circled going into the video today. I think it's going to be really close. It's not going to surprise me either way. I could see Folsom really. Maybe they come out and really put on an impressive show and build a couple touchdown lead. Who knows? I think this is totally up in the air. As you can see, as I'm rambling on, I have no idea what I'm doing here.
You have no idea who's going to win on the blue turf. I will point out I've covered 2 games on the blue turf, and I think I'm going this week. I think I'm going Friday night. Folsom is 0-2 on the blue turf with me there, losing to Bellarmine in 2015 in the NorCal championship game and to De La Salle in 2019. So I have never seen Folsom win on the blue turf.
I think that's what it's going to come down to. You made it. Yeah.
So you're taking De La Salle?
Give me the Spartans.
Lefty?
Well, Folsom is 0-4 against De La Salle. I think De La Salle's in Folsom's head a little bit. I think the Spartans pull this one out. It's going to be close, but we're going to find out that De La Salle can still play.
I think De La Salle had this one circled. I think this is the one they want. They want to still show that, the St. Francis game, credit to the St. Francis of Mountain View. That was a huge moment, a huge historical moment. But we also have to remember that in that game, De La Salle was down 24-7 early in the third quarter and came back and took the lead. And it took a really impressive drive by St. Francis of Mountain View to pull that one out. Now, Folsom could do the same thing, but De La Salle is not a bad team. And when they get rolling, as you saw, Evan, against that team from San Diego, and they get physical and they start hitting you, which is what they did in the second half against St. Francis of Baltimore, that puts something in people's heads when you start getting hit like the Baltimore quarterback got hit in that game on last Friday. So I'm taking De La Salle to win this game. Folsom's got to prove it to me before I start picking them. I'm going to go De La Salle. So we have 2 bonus games. Let's make these real quick because we're getting a little long here. We got Hillsdale against Menlo. Hillsdale 4-1. Hillsdale's given up 60 points all season. They're going to go up against Sergio Beltran and Menlo. Sergio Beltran, 7 touchdown passes last week, 26 on the season. I'm taking Menlo to win this game on its home field. You guys agreeing with me?
Yeah, I'm taking Menlo. I think Menlo is a good team, and Menlo's got a good defense.
Yeah, I mean, Menlo went up against Terra Nova, another really tough defense, and they kind of had to navigate away from Beltron's throwing, and were still able to move the ball and pull out that game. So I like their chances against Hillsdale.
All right, last game on the list is the annual Bruce Mahoney game in San Francisco Kezar Stadium. We're SI at 2-3 with losses to St. Mary's of Stockton, St. Francis of Mountain View, and Valley Christian last week. Going up against the Hard Luck Kids, Sacred Heart Cathedral at 0-5. But look at these scores: Sacred Heart Prep season opener 28-21, Palma 14-7, Burlingame 17-7, Valley Christian 27-21. And St. Francis last week, 37-13, although it was 16-13 after the third quarter. I'm taking Sacred Heart to get its first win in this huge game. They lost to SI in the spring, 20-17, and I think it was a pretty impressive comeback by SI late. I'm taking Sacred Heart to get its first win of the season in its big rivalry game against SI. Evan, who you got?
Give me SI by 10 to 14 points.
Ooh, whoa. Lefty.
I'm going to go with SI. I don't know if it'll be 10 to 14 points, though, but I'll go with SI.
You think it's be close?
I have a feeling it'll be a close game.
You think Sacred Heart's going to lose yet another close one to go to 0-6?
Well, yeah. I mean, Sacred Heart's got some good talent. I mean, that's not an untalented team, but I think SI has got some ability too. I think it's going to be SI in a close game.
All right. Be sure to check out our covers, mercurynews.com, eastbaytimes.com. You guys have anything else to add? We went a little long, but I thought we had some good stuff here talking about the big picture of state football, the Folsom De La Salle game, the Mahasan injury. Anything else to add before we move on?
If you've stuck around for this long and you have not subscribed yet, get your act together.
Get a subscription.
We need your support.
Exactly.
You're the ones we're talking to.
All right. We're going to shut her down. I'm going to turn off the recorder, stop recording.